At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Really love this brand because first off, the products are quality. I have amazing hydration. You guys can see the shine. You guys can see the definition.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Thank you. Oh, hold on. This ain't focusing. There you go. Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to start off with a funny story. So I was with my son. I took him to Family Dollar so he could buy some candy and Roblox gift cards. I don't know, the Roblox. That's what he plays. Roblox or what's not Roblox? What's the other game these kids are playing now? I can't think of it. Come on, what's the other game? Fortnite. There we go, Fortnite. So we're in Family Dollar. And two of the employees were about to get into a fight here in Atlanta. You know, these Family Dollars and these dollar stores be ghetto as hell. So two of the employees were about to get into a fight. And they were about to fight over because one of the employees wants to be called by his pronouns. Is that the correct term? So it's obviously a man who think he's a woman, and he wanted to be called by she, her, she. And the other employee was like, no, I'm not calling you by that, pretty much. You know, because it's a guy, but he identifies as a woman and wanted to be called by his... I'm sorry. I don't freaking know. And pretty much me and the lady that was at the register were like, listen, Donald Trump ended all that. There's only two sexes. You're a man and you're a woman. That's it. None of that. A man could be a woman. You're a man. If you're a man, you're a woman, you're a woman. So that ended. Like, so dude is tripping. I respect the humanity in everybody. Again, I respect the humanity in everybody. But if you're born a man, you are a man. If you're born a woman, you're a woman. Period. In a discussion, no more pronouns, no more you're a man, but you want to be known as she, her, or whatever. None of that is done. So dude, so the employee that the man who wants to be a woman, but is a man, obviously, was going after was a woman. So this man wanted to throw hands with the woman because the woman would not call that man she, her. I don't freaking know. This shit's so confusing. But we were just saying Trump ended that. That is done. All right. There's only two sexes. You're a man. If you're born a man, you're a woman. If you're born a woman. So I just wanted to talk about that, bring that up, because I thought it was funny. Well, it wasn't funny. It was really sad because my son was with me. So we have two black people who are about to throw hands. Well, the woman wasn't about to fight, but the gay man wanted to fight and was cussing and being irate because he felt disrespected that the woman would not consider him as a woman. And my son, he's there with me, and it was embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. But anyways, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. Again, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please share. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for joining. It really means a lot. Before we get started, I got a couple of announcements. We are rolling to Senegal, and I have 2 spots left for Senegal. I have 2 spots left. So we are rolling to Senegal. That is going to be May 27th through June 4th. May 27th through June 4th. If you're interested in joining us, he still hasn't updated it yet. The site's getting updated. But if you're interested in joining us, please visit donfo.africa again. Oh, you know what? I can change the little hold on. Here we go. Bam, I forgot I could do that. I can make a circle now. Shout out to the StreamYard. I can make a circle now. But please visit donfo.africa to learn more. It'll be great if I could actually move it. Can I move this? No, I can't move it. Like if I could just kind of just like float it around. But please visit donfo.africa to learn more. So we're rolling to Senegal in May. We're going to Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival, August 3rd to the 12th. Zanzibar in September 21st to the 30th for Safari Blue, just straight beaches and seafood in Stone Town. And then we got the collab, Namibia and South Africa in that's going to be November 7th through the 18th. Dunes and Amapiano. So if you're interested in joining us, please visit Donfo. That's DANFO.Africa. Again, please visit Donfo, DANFO.Africa. Shout out to Wall Street Willie. Thank you for and Carlos, thank you for subscribing. But Carlos, I have a different take on DEI and affirmative action. I have a different take. Let me get back to the square and let me do that. My take is, and I'll jump into it. You know, we talk about this $1 trillion spending power. Another demographic says they're the most educated demographic in America. I remember talking to Black people in DC, and they told me they run DC. They're like, Black folks run DC. So the amount of resources we have, if we truly have each other, we don't need it. Again, if we truly have each other, we don't need it. If who we are, what we claim to be, as far as Black people in America, we don't need it. We didn't need it during segregation. If you listen to the words and read the words of Claude Anderson, we were doing better back then than we are now. So do we really need DEI and affirmative action? I think nepotism. Yeah, we got $1 trillion. I was told we worth $1 trillion. I was told we was worth $1 trillion. I was told a certain demographic, Black women, were the most educated on the planet. So I'm thinking we should just be fine without DEI and affirmative action. I think nepotism is more important. And I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna tell you a story. It's story time. When I graduated from the University of Georgia, I heard about these sexy dude, we could have had these businesses, but we gave them up to integrate. When integration came, we shut down our businesses to integrate. We stopped supporting our businesses because of integration. But let me get back to my story. Be prepared to boycott. Boycott what? What are we boycotting? Z Dog, what we boycotting? What we boycotting? We ain't boycotting. Stop it. We're not boycotting. With Nelly, Chrisette Michelle. You know what's interesting, guys? Sidebar real quick. I'm on social media. Black folks is threatening to boycott Nelly and Snoop Dogg for performing for Donald Trump. But Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos were also at the inauguration. Mark Zuckerberg came out and said he supported Donald Trump, but none of y'all is talking about boycotting Facebook and Instagram. And I think Facebook owns WhatsApp. None of y'all is talking about canceling your Amazon Prime memberships. But for some reason, you want to boycott Snoop Dogg and Nelly. When we know for a fact, that Mark Zuckerberg came out and said that he supports Donald Trump. But ain't none of y'all can't shutting down your Facebook accounts, and none of y'all shutting down your Instagram accounts, and none of y'all canceling your WhatsApp. I think Facebook owns WhatsApp. I might be wrong. But you want to go after Nelly. Again, but you want to go after Nelly. But anyways, let me get back to my story. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button again, please. Hit that like button again. Once again, hit that like button. Also, don't be stingy. Hit the super chat button as well. Hit the super chat button in the Cash App. But let me get back to my story. So when I graduated from the University of Georgia in 2005, I got a job personal training at a gym that just opened up in Athens called the Omni. So while I was there, a couple of my old teammates, they were talking about how they're doing pharmaceutical sales. All right. Black teammates. They were talking about how they're doing pharmaceutical sales. So I'm like, I want a pharmaceutical sales job because they made it look sexy. Like I went on a ride along with one of my teammates. All he did was go to doctor's offices, drop off Chick-fil-A, and get orders for drug orders, whatever, and flirt with the nurses or the staff. When we went into these doctors' offices. So I asked my who recruited me, Coach Rodney Gardner. I said, "Hey, I want to get into pharmaceutical sales. Do you know anybody?" So he put me into contact. He was coaching at the University of Georgia. He actually coaches at Tennessee now, University of Tennessee. So he hooked me up with a brother who worked for a pharmaceutical sales company. So I'm in Athens. I'm living in Athens at the time. And I would drive to meet him and interview with him at a hotel in like Lawrenceville, if you guys are familiar with Atlanta. So I remember going, and I was dead broke at the time. When I was personal training at this gym, we made like $6 an hour or something like that. And then for every 30-minute session of personal training, you made an extra like $6 or $8 per 30 for every 30 minutes for training. So the most you can make is $18 an hour if your schedule was filled. So I would go he would just, hey, meet me here. We would meet at like the restaurant of the hotel, and I would interview. So after the interview, he told me, hey, you're fresh out of college. You don't have any sales experience. I said, okay. But he would call me back. He called me back like twice. So I would drive from Athens to Lawrenceville. I did this like twice. Actually like 3 times. And he would tell me the same thing, like, you don't have enough sales experience. So on the 3rd time, but he would always say, like, hey, you interview great. You have a lot of potential. I like you. You would make a great sales rep, but you just don't have enough sales experience. So the 3rd time, I just said, hey, like, how's the process work? Can you at the very least, because you said yourself that I'm a sharp guy, I'm a talented guy. Could you at the very least, push me to the next step or advance me to the next step? Because per you, I'm a sharp guy. I'm a hell of a guy. Yeah, I don't have sales experience, but from what you're saying, when you go into detail about the hiring process, you're not the final say. So can you at least advance me to the next round of interviews with the next person in the upline who can make the decision, or who can at least, just advance me, basically? Because you're saying I'm a sharp guy. And he was just like, no, I can't do that. So I ended up moving to Atlanta. I started doing, and this is a brother. This is a black man. This is a brother. I'm going somewhere with this. So he wouldn't advance me. Again, he wouldn't advance me. And again, I was just asking, like, listen, can you at least advance me, push me to the next round? Because per you, I'm a great guy. He was like, no. So I ended up getting a sales job, doing sales for a company called Centos. I'm sorry, Aflac. This is before Centos, the duck. So I moved to LA because while I'm doing sales for Aflac, I'm modeling and trying to act and all that stuff. So I moved to LA. So in LA, when I got tired of the whole Hollywood stuff industry, I would run into black sales reps who did pharmaceutical sales. And same thing, like, hey, are you guys hiring? I have sales experience now. Business to business. Are you guys hiring? Can you put me on? Or, can you at least just take my resume and take it to your manager or boss at the very least? These people will refuse. These are black people. They would refuse. Or they would give me we're not hiring, or there's a hiring freeze. I'm like, okay, I understand that. But can you at least take my resume and pass it on to your manager? And guys, I'm going somewhere with this. And this is why I just think there's no need for DEI or affirmative action. I think nepotism is more important. And they were just like, nah, we can't. Or they would tell me to go on the website and fill out an application, which I will learn is bullshit later on. Because how these sales jobs work, you get them via reference from somebody that currently works for the company or from a headhunter. Like they rarely respond to people who just go on and upload their resume on the website. That's what I found out. So, I'm looking for work, looking for a sales job, and I get a phone call from a brother who was a headhunter. Hey man, I like what you're doing, like your resume. There's a company called Cintas. I'm like, who? He says Cintas. I'm like, what is that? They specialize in facility services, uniforms, rental company. They have a service where they pick up you sell uniforms or restaurant products to restaurants or whatnot or businesses, and they have a service that will restock the products, restaurant products, cleaning products, uniforms. They have a service where they'll wash the uniforms and bring them back every week to the customer. And so I'm so used to pharmaceutical sales being the sexy job. I asked, how much should they make? He told me how much you can make at Cintas. I said, okay, I'm down. So I went through the process, got the job, interviewed. And what was amazing was they're telling me usually people go through the interview process for like a month sometimes. I got hired within a week. Like within 4 or 5 days, I got hired, got an offer letter. It was that quick. So what I noticed while I was at Cintas, they were all, people were all, you need sales experience, you need this experience, you need that experience. I remember one day I'm in the office and my manager comes in. My manager was just ranting and raving. I'm not hating at all, but I'm just making a point of this because I don't think we need DEI. I don't think it's a loss by DEI and affirmative action being canceled. I don't see it as a loss, me personally. If we are who we say we are as Black people, the amount that we talk and most educated and $1 trillion spending power. If we are who we say we are, I don't think it's a loss. So I'm in the office one day. My manager comes in, white guy. He was ranting and raving about a bartender that he met while he was out partying. No sales experience. And he's like, listen, I'm going to hire her because she was just such a great bartender. And listen, I'm not mad. I'm just making this a point. So she came in. She got the job. Other groups of people, Hispanic, were putting their own people on. Everybody else was putting their own people on. Qualified or not qualified. Again, qualified or not qualified, they were putting their own people on, period. And I'm not mad. So when I was out and about doing my sales thing, and sometimes, usually I was suited and booted. And then sometimes I would wear like the Cintas uniform. And people will come up to me and say, hey, brother, you work for Cintas? Say, I'm looking for a job, man. I made sure I got their resume and at least put it into the right people's hands that could make a decision or not. And I would just tell them, like, listen, I'm going to pass it forward. The ball's in your court. I'm going to get your foot in the door. I'm going to at least get your foot in the door. So that's why I'm saying we should be fine. If we are who we truly say we are, we should be fine. Just put your other brother and sister on. And I was listening to Dame Dash one day, and he was like, it doesn't, like, how does it hurt you just to take the resume and pass it to your manager? Hey, manager, hey, this guy right here, I met him. He has sales experience, sharp guy. Bring him in for an interview. That doesn't hurt you at all. That doesn't hurt. Here's my resume. I got the experience. I got the education. Just pass it forward. No problem. I got you. They come back and say no, then it is what it is. But I've ran into too many Black people that won't help you take that first step. So I disagree. I disagree. So that's why I'm like, if we are who we say we are, when we bragging about the most educated demographic, $1 trillion spending power, we built America, HBCUs. If we are who we say we are, then I think the Senegal trip is now, I just got a notification. I think the Senegal trip is full now. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. Got to give thanks real quick. Then we don't need DEI or affirmative action. Just put your brother or sister on. If you disagree, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. Guys, hit the like button. Mr. Ife Olua, thank you for the $9.99 holla. So when I talk, somebody said in the chat room, this will hurt the DMV the most. Affluent Blacks there are government employees. I was told by Black employees and the government employees in the DMV that they run the DMV. That's what I was told by them. We run the DMV. Black folks run DC. That's what I was told. That's what they told me. I'm not exaggerating. Black folks run DC. Okay. So why are you worried? If Black folks run DC, shout out to Spellcaster for the $2 Canadian dollar holla. If Black folks run DC, why are you concerned? Just put other Black folks on. If Black folks run DC. Mrs. Sandman, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, man. That the DEI thing. I've heard of a lot of different things about it. I'm not sure if it's wrapped up with the 14th Amendment, with the Equal Rights Bill. I don't know if
No. So from my understanding, DEI and affirmative action, I forgot what the term is, but it doesn't affect the 14th Amendment.
Okay, yeah, because for him to change the 14th Amendment, he would have to get it approved by the Supreme Court, and they could reject it. Right.
So no.
Yeah. Plus, qualified immunity for the children that's coming of that come over here from illegal aliens. If they're born in America, he put that executive order in to.
Now that is more than likely to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that's going to get pushed back by the Supreme Court because it goes against the Constitution. But the DEI thing, I think the original premise of that bill was that because a lot of white people that came to the United States, whether they be migrants, coming through here, they got a lot of support from the government to like help them, get along. They got a whole bunch of uh, housing, for real cheap or real easy loans. They got they say like, for instance, the white people like the Irish, they run the policing departments in most of the districts throughout the country, and the Italians run a lot of the construction companies throughout the country. So it's like we don't really have any particular industry that we can really control as a black people. So to sharing the wealth, the idea or the premise of DEI is so that we could get our foot in the door, we could get some experience in the business, and then maybe even take that experience with us and start our own business. But by taking that away, I don't know. I personally, I'm a little skeptical of it. I don't think that Trump is necessarily doing this because he thinks it's the right thing to do, because he thinks it's discrimination against white people. I think it's another bill for the Asians. So the Asians were the ones that's mainly complaining about not getting into these Ivy League schools, because that's the only reason why they come over here for the most part is, you know, they want their kids to go and become, engineers, doctors, and scientists at these Ivy League schools, and they're getting turned down for maybe like African Americans or even some white people who might not be as qualified as they are. So I think Trump is just willing and dealing. He said, "You scratch my back, I scratch yours." You know what I'm saying? So he just cut a deal with them with that Japanese company for the Stargate, and they're going to invest $500 billion into the AI. So I just think it's a hustle. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna he's just scratching people's backs so they'll scratch his. Yeah. So and as far as us, being able to build, I think it's going to be difficult. You know what I mean? Because like I said, we don't own any industry. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to like corner some of the market. Like for instance, the music. We dominate the music industry as far as like putting out our stuff, but we don't dominate the distribution and the marketing, and we're not on top of most of these record labels. So a lot of Jewish people control all of that stuff. So if we had control of that market, that's $1 trillion industry that can help, employ a lot of African Americans throughout the country or even in the diaspora. So, uh, if we don't get too much pushback from the Jews and they let us have our our rights to our music, to our intellectual property, then maybe we could take that to the next level. But a lot of this other stuff like technology, all of that stuff, that's dominated by the Asians and the white people.
Mhm. All right, go ahead, Shaw.
Okay, so Dynasty, I'm hearing you. And I would say if we did, like my brother was just saying, if we did have more businesses and not small businesses, we like industries. We don't though. And so we have 40, 50 million of us. There's not enough of us in management supervisory positions in corporate America. And then many of us who are in those positions, as you said, Dinus, are gatekeeping, petty bourgeois, miseducated Black folks. So, and that miseducation is something we need to deal with, which means that HBCUs, they have to step their game up. They are not addressing the issues in the community on a radical enough level, which is why we're not building our communities to actually start industries. Even you got to start somewhere. You got to have capital, right? So we've got to, put our twos and fews together, not pull ourselves up by the bootstrap, but certainly we can be working more together, right? DEI, there's a history behind that. I wish I could tell it, but I've heard it before and it was not what you think. but I am a student who got into college through EOP. I think it's called EOP, right?
Where'd you go to
So
college at?
I started at a junior college for 3 years, Foothill Junior College, then transferred to University of Washington in Seattle. Then I went back to the Bay Area and finished at San Francisco State University.
Okay.
So through the EOP
Did
program.
did San Francisco State University shut down or something happened to it?
I hope not, because I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm just saying that because
Okay.
right off the bat, that would be a disaster, because it is the first in the country Black Studies department in the United States of America. The first. Many people don't know that, but that's, the Bay Area is a place where we were progressive, from the Black Panthers to, Black Studies, and Ella Baker doing her organizing. But anyway, back to the EOP. I was a C student. I made it, maybe high C's. I had a few B's in there, but I made sure that I ran the streets a little bit, but I also did enough to be able to pass. And this is how EOP was helpful for me. I got into college, I was able to keep up, in the areas in which I was interested. But I'm saying, unless they are changing the allocation of tax monies into school districts, unless they're going to be fair about that, which they're not, and so they bring up the level of education in our school districts. So since you want to be fair, since everything, we don't need it, and we don't need EOP, we don't need affirmative action, which they say helped more white women than it did people of color or African
Right.
Americans. Since you want to be fair, you want to get rid of those, then change the laws around property taxes and other taxes, so that our schools, public schools, are equal to the schools where white kids go to. Boom. I'll land right there.
Mhm. Go ahead, Wes.
Hey, peace, y'all.
Peace.
Yeah, I was just listening in, man, and I think with the DEI stuff, I'm kind of against it, in a way of I just feel like, with socialism and things of that nature, I think our people was, you know, it helped us to a certain degree. My dad's from Oakland. I grew up in Sac, and
Okay,
I
what part? What
seen
part?
it,
What part of Sac?
South Sac
What part? What street?
by Florence High.
Okay, I'm from 21st and Florence.
Okay. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. I used to work right over there, right
Yeah.
over there by the Walmart.
Yeah.
But
Well, that Walmart used to be Florence Mall, but it shut
yep,
down.
I know. No, I already know. Yeah, when I first
Yeah.
moved out there from the Bay. Yeah.
Mhm.
But long story short, my dad, he told me about the Black Panthers in North Oakland, things of that nature, because he's seen it firsthand. And I think that the socialist movements like DEI, welfare, things of that nature has helped us. But I think now, I feel like things are different. They're getting better, year by year, so that now we have to individually pull ourselves up, and then, bring somebody else up with us, look back and help ourselves. I think we get too much into wanting the government to do something for us versus us doing something for ourselves. And I think that's where we've kind of been manipulated mentally in a way of always looking for some form of a handout. And I would say there were certain things that did help us in the past, but I feel like the America that we're in now versus 50 years ago, and I feel like it's just so much better, and it's constantly getting better for us. So I think now that we have the opportunity for investing, I'm a day trader myself. I'm really into, I want to get into real estate, things of that nature. I think now that we do have an opportunity to do it, and the playing field is becoming more equal. I ain't gonna say it's all the way there yet, but I do think that, with other, we're talking about DEI and people being able to get in certain industries. I think now we're going to have to build ourselves up. And yeah, I think we have enough people in different industries to be able to create our own, but I think we need to come together to do that. And I think that's the issue that we have, is we've been kind of taught that divide, and, they've given us that divide and conquer to where we can't a lot of times either trust each other or, I don't know, but I feel like we have the opportunity to build ourselves up versus the government doing something for us. now.
Okay. Go ahead, Kofi. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, what's up, everyone? Peace. Yeah, I agree with the brother. I never even knew what DI was until I guess white people started screaming it on X. And you know, if anyone got welfare, it's those European native immigrants who came to the United States and benefited off of white supremacy. And it's you know, those who came after the work was done by our ancestors for over for 400 years. So if anyone, you know, had this big DI program, it was those who didn't have to go through the, you know, that type of labor. Right now, we're in the best country, right, in the world, the United States of America, and developing nations, people from developing nations, they just can't get it. Just can't get it straight. So they come here, they learn from the world leaders, and you know, they bring it back to their countries. Right now, we're in the biggest global shift that's occurring right in front of our eyes, and that's on the invention of AI and soon to be AGI. Now, before you had to go to a 4-year university and you had to you know, pass a couple of tests to get to those corporate offices. Now we have the corporate world in the palm of our hands, which is our phones. We could take that and we could start our own industries in Africa, and I was in Ghana for like 2 years. There's things that are just missing. And I remember people asking me, "What are you doing? What are you doing in Ghana? Why are you here driving boats?" I would pull out my laptop and I would get on a a generative AI platform, and I would type in a website that I wanted to build, and it would start building it right in front of them, and they were just amazed. And now they're coming to me for you know, consultant work and how to do these things. I told them that, look, the reason why I'm here is because we're going to become billionaires. We're on our way to reaching that level on a 17, 12 team group. No, we don't need DEI. I doubt we need a 4-year education. Everything is online. Everything is on YouTube. Everything is in these courses. Um, I I I it's time for people to use their minds and think of try to imagine something that's impossible and try to do it, because it's doable.
Let me read the super chat.
That's all I have to say for now.
JC, thank you for the 199 holla. Dynasty, are you against aid going to Africa? It depends on the circumstances and what strings are attached. You know, if you ask me. Guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in after the conversation, you can. Also, make sure you please hit that like button. Please hit that like button as you come to the chat room. Well, yeah, as you come to the chat room. If you want to call in, please click the call in link.
Yeah, but you said a lot.
Go ahead, Shaw.
Kofi, you said a lot. Early on, there was things I wanted to respond to. Forgot them because as time went on. My mind wanders is thinking as you're saying, and I'm thinking about these things. But yeah, we are being forced. That's it. We're being forced into having to work together, and that's the good thing about it. As these doors closes, it forces us to have to work together. And it's unfortunate that it had to come to that, because we should be working together so that we don't need DEI and affirmative action programs, right? Or anything. We have our own grocery stores, our own hospitals, our own banks. We should have those things. But I think that it's true. The reason that we don't, and we're not doing better now than we were previously. That's another thing you said. We're actually doing worse because if you were to, when I was in college, to some of the statistics that we were getting was there were more black-owned businesses in the 50s than there was in the late 80s. That was the time we're looking at it. Now we 30 something years later, 34, 5 years later, here we are. We have even less black businesses today than we did in the 1980s. Less, and they're
That's
more.
understandable because we're not in Africa.
We're not in Africa. No, I'm
Yeah, we're
talking
not in
about
Africa.
Alabama. I'm talking about Alabama in the 1950s. There was something like 3,000 businesses, and in the late 1980s, there was far less, like in the hundreds of
Shay,
black businesses in Alabama. That's not Africa, or
Shay,
well,
you're right. You're
so
definitely right.
So now that's 30 something years ago. Now we have even less. I did a survey myself. I drove up and down East 14th Street, International Street in Oakland, all the way from San Leandro to downtown Oakland, looking for, this was my little thing I did, looking for black owned liquor stores. There were two in 4 miles maybe of a major boulevard street with businesses all up and down. And mostly black, serving mostly black and Latino communities. There were two,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
this was back in like 2013, 14. So we're
It's just
it's horrific. We're at the condition that we're in.
I
I feel
agree,
like
Shay. I think
you're
go ahead, brother.
I feel like you're kind of like depending on like old forms of you know um ways of infrastructures and where yes, and during those times it made sense to open up a storefront that led to more business. But now you could just get online. You can have an online store. I'm saying that people are online. And in Africa, they're more so living like in the past, where they're gonna have all these storefronts out. We're living in the future, and I just think the reason why you're not seeing them is because it might not be as profitable. Now, if you're seeing other groups do it, it's because maybe they're doing it for a different reason. Maybe they're trying to maintain a visa. Maybe they're trying to maybe it's just like a front for something else. Who knows? But I'm saying the reason why you're not going to see a lot of black people doing it is just because we're not in a predominantly black country. We're not in a predominantly black continent, and that's why there's a such thing as birth rates declining. We're, if anything, we're more so integrating more and more. And I feel like if you're looking for something from the past, it's just hard to compare it to today, and you're not
You-
going to see it because those times is past.
You're not going to
It's
buy
it's an old way
liquor
of
or
it's
go
an
to a
old
restaurant online. You're not going to buy liquor online. You're not going to go to a restaurant online. And this is some of the stores we're talking about. These stores are owned by Middle East, the so-called Middle Easterns, Yemen,
Yeah.
and other folks from those areas. So
yeah.
those are, yeah. So what are we talking about? Some things, yeah, and maybe more and more. That's happening, but some things you're not going to buy online. You're going to want to get your clothes. You want to see your clothes. You want to touch your clothes. You're not going to always buy everything online, and people are making money in storefronts still.
You have
Yeah.
to, yes, you have to store your items inside the storefront, and then you can make a killing online. How do I know this? Because I'm the one who's delivering these things. Now, look, we have to admit that we're only 45 million here in the United States, and we're competing with an immigrant class. We're competing with a brown immigrant class and an Asian immigrant class that's in the billions. We're we're just not the most populous people inside the United States anymore. We're not the only people of color anymore. So this is just something that we have to deal with. But if you go to sub-Saharan Africa, hell, 90% of the storefronts are black and African owned. Not to keep on pushing Africa, 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 but we're not in Africa, and we're not in a predominantly black country.
There are fewer Asians
Um,
than us. There are fewer Jewish communities than we are. So that argument doesn't fly because the Chinese community
not in
got
New York.
Chinese towns in New York, right? They got Chinese towns in New York. They got Chinese towns in San Francisco and other places. They got Chinatowns, and they do
I can't
business
even
among
find
Chinese.
black people here.
The
I
dollar
can't even find
passes
black people here,
through.
man.
The dollar passes through these people's communities 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and in ours it doesn't. Maybe
Hmm.
once, maybe, and I think it doesn't even pass
Are
one time. So what are we talking
are
about here?
you are you personally being affected by this? Do you feel that you personally are are you in decline as a person because of the
So it
group?
so if and that's another thing that you talk about how we're moving up as billionaires, or you use some kind of marker of our progress. And I have to say to you, my brother, that this system of capitalism it's questionable, and it looks like it's running a course, and we're watching it closely, right? I think that
Hmm.
a socialist system is going to work better for African people, but in the world in general, because this system here, that is the epitome and the height of capitalism, has major faults, and it is acting strange. And we people have been saying that it's going to eventually it's going to crash. We've got inflation now. We've got debt, and you can't keep kicking the can of debt down. You think you're going to keep making dollars and printing it, and that's going to save? No, it's not
Hmm.
going to save it. It's
Now,
not. So
Shay,
I'm saying the billionaire model is wrong, because the few people having all the money is a wrong model. That is a dysfunctional model when less than 1% of 1% of the people of the world own 90% or 80% of the world's wealth. That's ridiculous, and that's part of why we have so much poverty and wars and fights, because these people are sucking up all the world's resources. They've colonized the world. Come on, bro. I need
now
you to,
Shay,
to think bigger and get more progressive in your thought. I'll land right there.
Shay, I agree with you when it comes to us, us not having businesses. Because like I said, my dad's from Oakland, North Oakland. Like they had the Black Muslim bakery, we had liquor stores, gas stations. I think partially, why that stopped was through integration, because I think a lot of our people said, hey, we've been shut out from these white places for so long. Let's go there. It's probably better. Or, the allure of it may have drawn us there. And over time, systematically, drugs, things of that nature, I think ultimately got us to where we're at now. Um, I will say, I'm going to keep it pretty brief. I will say with the capitalist system, I personally think this may be the best system that we've seen in history, just based on how long it's lasted. I hear what you're saying when it comes to, the billionaires and people like that. But this system versus, let's say, we were born in India and we're in the caste system, we don't have an opportunity to do anything else. We're born in certain places to where, oh, your dad was a shoemaker, you're going to be a shoemaker. With the capitalist system, it gives everybody an opportunity. Now, we all are going to start at different places, but we do have an opportunity to build ourselves up. I don't know if you've read the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx, but they essentially they don't want people to own property. They don't want any private sector. And this is the root of the socialist system that we have today. Now, granted, things change over time, but that is the basis of what they believe in. Like Kamala, people like that, the Democrats in particular, that socialist movement will essentially take out all private sectors. It's akin to communism. Whether we believe it's good or bad, there's going to be somebody holding the power. Whether it's us, the people that have the opportunity to build infrastructure that's going to motivate us to want to build something for ourselves and for the community, or the government's going to have the control. So, like, I've been, researching this stuff recently just because this has been a big thing with this election. And I just feel like, at least with where we're at now, we all have an opportunity to come up and do things, and then we can bring other people up with us versus big government and the government being in control like we're in China or Russia. So
So
that's all I
you're
wanted to say.
if it's a race, right, and you're starting at the race, well, your people's coming out of chattel slavery for 100 and something years, 200 years, whatever it was, right?
Hmm.
That was what 150 years ago or less. Your people
Yeah.
are coming out of chattel slavery. They start building up, and then the way that capitalism works is that it uses violence, right? So it used violence on Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and in Red Summer there were 62 massacres related to race bigotry, and then all of these things were happening all over where we were having our communities and trying to build ourselves. We're coming out the blocks very far under, the where people are at. We're the underdog by far. And then here comes the terrorism. Set us back again. We're not even going to talk about Reconstruction, where the backlash from Reconstruction, where they destroyed that and set us back and killed a bunch of people up. Then we're building up, and here they come again. Then
We got lost. Let me read these super chats. JC, 499 holla. Me, I'm for Africans helping themselves. Africans are literally walking on rare earths that make all types of electronics possible in the world. And there was another super chat. Spellcaster Dynast. Hate to say this, but blacks in America got to stop spending in Chinese, Indians, and other racist businesses. Time we start our own and move on. All right, are you back, Shaw?
Oh yeah, this is weird because my phone goes into a blankness thing and then it just cuts off. But anyway, I don't know where I left off, but the point, and I'm glad I'll let somebody else speak, is that when we try to do good, terrorism comes because capitalism requires violence in order to keep its status, to keep itself in a capitalist state. It uses violence all over the world, as they have, and we have suffered from that. And I don't know how long it's going to take us to realize that as long as we're in this country, we're going to be in a situation where, as we try to build, they will use tactics to keep us from building up in this race, if we're going to call it that race. So I think we need to leave this country and we need to go to Africa. That's what I think we need to do and help
Now,
build Africa.
if we leave, are you for capitalism then? Because I hear what you're saying. I'm not, I could never say like, oh, Tulsa didn't happen. These different things didn't happen. Like I said, I do think things are getting better over time. Now, if we build ourselves again, is it going to happen again? I don't think so with the day and times that we're in now, let's say 20 years from now, 15 years while we build ourselves, but it's possible. But I hear what you're saying. But when I look at the different countries, especially within Europe, when it comes to a socialist system, it just doesn't always work out the best, and the things that they want to make better tend to get worse under socialist systems. So, and it's kind of going back to the DEI stuff with the government more so giving you a handout, and they have that quote unquote equity, which, if I work harder than you, I should get a bigger piece of the pie. Or if I came up with this idea, you could work for me and you can build yourself up, and then you come with your own idea, and then you create your own infrastructure, your own business. So I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, just looking at the root of socialism, Marxism uses, it uses revolution to get things done. So they like to get things done quick. But then you have the Fabian socialists, where they have a plan of 100, 200 years to get their socialist ideals done. So there's different types of socialism, but ultimately, I just, when I look at the stuff that, Joe Biden was doing, I'm sure there's other presidents in the past. This is, me being an adult, that's the most that I've paid attention to Joe Biden, with Kamala Harris, some of the things that she talked about. I know her dad was very big into Marxism. When I started to do the research on it, I just can't get with it. Now, is it, am I picking the two of the lesser of the two evils? More than likely, but I would much rather have a capitalist system where I have an opportunity to do something and hoping that things start to change for our people and things get better. Or like you said, we can go to Africa. I'm down with that too. And we can build there, so I think it can kind of go both ways. But for socialism, I just couldn't. I want to have autonomy over myself. I don't want the government to tell me, I want it as free as possible, because the whole reason they had the Constitution in the first place was because they was coming from those, white people in particular, was coming from Europe under the king, under the queen at that time. and they wanted to make sure that that didn't happen again. So they brought this idea of a free America. They brought the Second Amendment so that we can bear arms, so that if the government were to ever, cause tyranny, then we would be able to protect ourselves, just similar to what they were experiencing with the British. So I'm all for the free country and for
You,
the
you,
capitalist system. That's why I would say.
you realize that as a capitalist that you are a few people are going to be in charge of the labor and the land, exploiting the labor and the land, and everybody else. It's a pyramid structure. You will be working under these capitalist um, landowners and business owners.
But they have an
Everybody can't
opportunity to
be.
come up versus
Everybody
the
can't.
government.
Everybody
You know,
can't be in that top position. If everybody's in those top positions, capitalism does not work. It
I
has to
agree.
be. So that means that there's always going to be an underclass, poor people working for the rich people, and I don't
Even
think
under the
that's.
government, even under the government, though, if we're in
No,
socialism,
There's gonna
the
be enough for
government.
everyone.
I
That's
disagree.
not where we're headed. There's gonna be enough
I
for everyone.
disagree. Right? No, it's not about enough, because right now we're in capitalism. We're in the highest level of capitalism right now, and we have a problem. Capitalism is showing signs of faltering, and this fiat currency, along with the exploitation of these other countries, if Africa takes control of its resources, uh, Europeans in America, European Americans in Europe, they're done. It's over.
Mhm.
Just Africa taking control of its resources, because they've been exploiting Africa. That's what capitalism, and it uses violence to do it. I mean, I'm not even articulating it in the best way, nor am I articulating socialism in the way that I've heard other people talk about it. But I will say that no billionaires, no individuals owning the water or the land or the oil or the electricity, those things belong to the people.
I understand that. I could, for me, I hear what you're saying, and I actually agree with some of what you're saying. I think that I just wouldn't want to give my autonomy over to the government. Now, granted, they run a few things now, but I'd rather have an opportunity under a capitalist system and have to work for someone and build myself up versus just having the government tax the hell out of me.
What are you
Yeah, I
doing
get free
now?
healthcare and things
Are
of
you
that
a
nature.
Rothschild? Are you a Vanderbilt or a Rothschild?
No, I'm not
All right.
saying that I would get there,
So,
but we have an opportunity to do it. And
uh-huh.
under socialism, you do not.
Right.
You're
And
never gonna get there ever.
what's your opportunity? 50 million of you. What's your chance? What's your opportunity like? And I'm saying that capitalism came out of and was built up so well by slavery. Slavery in the United States is what made this country what it is. That's part of what set up capitalism, and Europe too. And this is how they're able to do the things that they're doing. And then they take people's shit all over the country, all over the world. They
Hmm.
just go take it.
Hmm.
That's capitalism. And you want to be a part of that, because
But
that's part
you're,
of capitalism.
but you have to look at it from this perspective. Just like I'll give you an example, like a dollar. People that have money, they could either do something good with it or they can do something bad. What I'm saying is, yes, I agree with you. There's been a lot of slavery, things of that nature, due to capitalism. But then now I'm looking at how things are now. I believe that as far as a system, now granted, there could be things that could make it better, but ultimately with this system, I have an opportunity because if we were born, Dinus probably can attest to this. He's in Africa all the time. There's certain things like if you're born in certain countries, you can't you can only make it so far. There's a reason why Chinese come here. There's a reason why the Indians come here, the Nigerians come here. There's a reason why they come here versus stay in their country. It's not it's for the opportunities that we have here. It's not just, oh, I can make way more money, but they're looking at it from, man, there's a level of freedom that you have in America under this system versus where I came from because just like I gave the example
Because
in the
they
caste system.
underdeveloped where you came from. They colonized where you came from, and then before the colonization, they depopulated your people and created a motherfucking Ma'afa catastrophe worse than the Holocaust. That's
Now,
what
what
they
would be
did
better for
first.
you then? What would be
And then
better for
after
us?
that, they colonized, and then after that,
Mhm.
they neo-colonized, which means that they made things so messed up that the only opportunity that you have, if you can do it, is to go to Europe or the United States. What are you talking about?
I feel like, because I'm not disagreeing with a lot with what you're saying, but what I'm saying is I'm not a victim. Yes, that happened to my people, but at the same time, somebody has to make a change. Somebody has to say, okay, I'm not a victim. I don't need DEI. I'm going to make this for myself. And it takes each and every one of us to do it. We have an opportunity, because I'd be open if there was a system, let's say outside of socialism, that was better than capitalism, I'd be for it. If
So
somebody can show me that, I would be so happy to do that.
you mean you as an individual is not a victim, but your people are a victim. Your mother and father or grandparents went through Jim Crow. They were victims of Jim Crow, but you weren't. So as a result of them not getting a GI Bill and being able to buy a house, they had to do it the hard way or no way. So you're not a victim of that, nor are you a victim of your schools in your community that you grew up in is less funded and don't have nearly the types of educational opportunity that the white schools nearest you do. You're not a victim of that either. I don't get what you're saying.
I've experienced it, but I choose not to become a victim. I understand that. I went to the school in the hood, but I realized, like, hey, I'm either going to continue to dwell on this or gain knowledge, which is what a lot of our people we're struggling with when it comes to business and things of that nature. I choose to not be a victim. I've experienced all of that, poverty, everything. But we have a choice to either keep talking about what happened. I think it's good for us to know our history and know what happened, know what they did, but where do we go from there? I think
That's the
the capitalist
question.
system is the best thing for us to
Right,
move forward if we have to live in this system. Now, again,
right,
if we come with a different system, I'm happy. But for now, where we're at now, the only way that we're going to come up, we need finances, we need
right.
resources, and each and
So
every one of us have to get there and do it
so
ourselves to bring each other up.
so you're in
That's all I'm
America.
saying.
You feel, are you an American? Are you proud to be an American?
I am, because I understand that
Okay.
my family, even though there was slavery, I do understand that my ancestors built this country.
Right.
Where
Do you think they
we can
wanted
go
to
back to
build this
Africa.
country? Right. Do you
Of
think
course
they?
not. Of course not. But
Okay.
they
So
did fight
what are you
for
so proud
different
about
rights
that?
here.
Are you aware that if Africa or when Africa takes its
Yeah.
resources back, you as an American are going to suffer?
Yeah.
Are you
That's
aware of
definitely a
that?
possibility. 100%.
Right. Okay. Well, you know what's going to happen is through violence, they're going to try to fight back through violence. And we're expecting that and we're preparing ourselves for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know I think you just need to get more information. That's all. And
Hey
because
man, I respect you. I'm very well, read, as you can probably tell. Like, I'm not an idiot. And again, I'm open to learning. It's not like I'm, like I would never go back to Africa. I would. I did my DNA. I'm mostly Yoruba in Nigeria. So I'd be happy to go back and experience that, and I'd be open to it. But ultimately, in this system, if I'm going to live in America, the stuff that my family and my ancestors fought for, whether they were in Chicago, I have family from Alabama, family from Oakland. They all fought for equal rights. Now that we have a form of equal rights, I'm not going to say it's perfect. We have to do something with that. Now, again, if they come with something better than capitalism, I'm willing to hear it. But until then, my family didn't fight for nothing. I have to pick myself up if I'm going to live here, and then I got to pick the people around me up. Because if we don't do that and just continue to play victim and, oh, they did this and they did that, when will we ever come up as a people? We'll never come up. We're going to expect the government to do something for us in a socialist system. Oh, we'll give you 25,000 down for a new home, this and that. But that money is coming from somewhere. It's coming from taxpayer dollars. It sounds good. They talked to us. Malcolm X even talked about how the white liberal, I forgot the wording that he used, but they're no good essentially. So I
well,
hear what you're saying, but I think that I have to look at right here, right now, and moving forward. I
right.
understand everything they did. I hate it, but me being
Well,
angry
you
at the
can't
system,
understand.
where else can I
Well,
go?
guys, let me pass the mic. Sid, go ahead and pass the Casanova.
Hey, Dennis.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, thanks for letting me on your platform. So my view on DEI, I think I'm in favor of them banning it because of my community, as African, especially West African. In most cases, we the Africans, when we apply for these jobs, when you have an African name, they will most of the time exclude you. If you have a slave master name, it's most likely you'll be hired. But now, with DEI, people will be hired on a merit basis, based on your performance or your resume, and that will give a lot of chances to the Africans for more opportunity. So that's why.
You there? Okay, we lost him. Casanova, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead. We hear you now. We had lost you. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that. So that's why most of the time you see African going for a corporate job, which is most of the time based on a merit basis. So now with DEI, I mean, it will be based on the merit basis, your performance and all of that. So that will give Africans chances to get federal job. Even though I'm not a big fan of federal job because they don't pay that much, and in most of the time too, you don't gain that much knowledge. You just do one thing over and over for 20 years until you retire. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. It's now more competitive. You should be higher on a merit basis, and I really support it. But thank you very much for letting me in.
No, you're welcome. Go ahead, Casanova.
Peace, Dinah. Peace to everybody on the panel. Thanks for letting me up.
No
Peace.
problem.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to the conversation when we get to talking about capitalism, socialism, Marxism, and all of that. From my understanding, our honorable scholar, Dr. John Henry.
We lost you, Casanova. You guys got to stop calling in on your Obama phones. Cash, we lost you. All right, go ahead, Chrissy.
Yeah, hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Happy New Year. I don't know if I spoke to you. So.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the point that the older gentleman was trying to say in the conversation with the young man is our people are the capital. See, that's the problem with capitalism. As he said, there needs to be an underclass, and we have been chosen as the people to be the underclass. So that's why even throughout history, when Black people tried to, opportunities were open and they tried to make headway, then there was policy that came to try to make it more difficult. You understand what I'm saying? To put hurdles, and rather it's private school and the history of how private schools started, or the history of how suburbs started, or standardized tests, or whatever it is. So we are the capital. Even when we talk about success in the United States, all of the minerals come from Africa. The point of capitalism is to be able to get the lowest price and sell for the highest. Well, how are you going to maintain that? As he said, through violence. So we cannot say capitalism is the best system for us when we are the dinner. We are the dinner. We cannot be the dinner and say that's the best system. I think we don't know what the best system is because we're talking about socialism, we're talking about capitalism. These are Western processes. These are Western political or models or economic models. We are not as familiar with our traditional models that worked in Africa in the pre-colonial era. I think that's something that we would have to explore. When it comes to DEI, as you said, do we need it? Do we not need it? I personally think Black people need it. I don't know what, I only started hearing about DEI like 2020. Around that time, like George Floyd, I never heard of it before. I heard of affirmative action, yes. But I say that our people need it because our people don't work together. You gave prime example of you're trying to say you pass your resume on. The same person who looked like you, who will talk about, Black white man and Black white supremacy, wasn't willing to pass your resume on. Because, and I think part of it is also when you're in the corporate realm, you have an understanding that, when the Hispanic hire the Hispanic or the Asian hire the Hispanic, nobody sees, right? When the Hispanic sit with the Hispanic and the whichever sit with your, nobody see. But when the Black person do it, everybody see, everybody's eyes on you. You know, you understand what I'm saying? It's you're magnified. And I think some Black people are afraid of that. But one thing, we don't work together. One thing, we don't support Black business. The other day you had a to even put ourselves in a position to say, hey, we're going to work with each other. You have the Indians coming here. Most of them, they work with them, each other. You know, they build and work amongst themselves. You know what I'm saying? We just are unwilling to do that. You know, if a Black man have a business, the price can be market level. I need a discount. Oh, that's too expensive. Oh, he robbing the people. Oh, he a scammer. You know what I'm saying? Or you might have the Black business owner who wants to get rich on the first client, and the market rate is $10 and he want to charge $100. It's like we can't get to the middle. You know, we're on some level of an extreme when we do things. And I think when you have a people who are unwilling, literally very much unwilling to work together and willing to sabotage the few Black businesses that exist, people like that need government help. I gave you the example the other day in the chat about Shea Moisture. Perfect example. The one mistake this man made is putting white women in the commercial, right? He's a businessman. He's testing out. He know he has the Black woman market. It doesn't mean he don't love Black women and that is his market. But he's saying, well, shoot, money is green. These white people getting all our money. So he tested out. Hey, our products can work on everybody. He put out, let me tell you, that was the end of Shea Moisture right there. There was, I'm boycott. So many women started boycotting his products. There was a panel. I don't know if you know, there had to be a press conference where the women in the audience were explaining how they felt, and they felt that, you know, Shea Marsh is theirs, and they felt a type of way. And this man is explaining, all the man is trying to do is run a business. But he have to be Martin Luther King in his not even Martin Luther King. He have to be the Black Panthers to run his business. He can't just be a Black man running a business. And they destroyed that man business. And he eventually sold it to another company. This is what we do. So people like that with that mentality need somebody else to come in, because we're not willing to do it, and help me to crush and pick up the pieces. That's just my opinion. So yes, I think Black people are very much going to suffer without having those things in place.
Cash, are you still on your Obama phone, or what's going on, Cash? Unmute yourself, Cash, if you're there. All right, Kazorian Empire, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, what's good? What's good? I want to start with, responding to the title, which is Black people don't need DEI or affirmative action if we have each other. Well, I think, first of all, what Black is has to be defined. We talk about Black Americans or the collective Black people in the diaspora within the Americas. If we're talking about Black people in general in the Americas, then we actually have to control our definitions of what we think community is to begin with. At the moment, as things stand, a lot of us, right, generally Black people, we like to be adjacent to white culture, white institutions, as well as white businesses, right? So what I'm saying is we don't actually like to create things for ourselves anymore. We've lost that for whatever reason. Someone's going to say, well, look at Tuskegee and all these other great things that were burnt down. That's all true. But at the same time, we have to decide, do we want to be adjacent right next to them? Do we want to be accepted in their spaces? Or do we want to create our own spaces, give value to the things, right, within our spaces or not? At the end of the day, the way I look at it is this, right? If we don't know how to create value for ourselves, how to value things that we create and create a market there, then we're always going to be playing second fiddle, because we can't actually we can't compete with the white man. He has far more bigger economies, and he controls certain military sort of aspects that we just can't compete with. But he can't compete with us if we actually create a market whereby we control the means of distribution, production, as well as consumption. And I think that's the first question I would ask everyone is, well, do we want to actually be free? Do we want to create and value our own things? Or do we just want to follow Dwight man and beg him for equality? Because at this point, Black people are equal under the law, but we're not equal under the realities of how we live our lives, because we're still seeking to be accepted by him. And if you're always seeking someone else, right? If you're a guest in someone's house, you'll never be, seen at the same level as the person at the dinner table. I'll just give a very simple example here, right? Um, if you look at the media, if a white child goes missing, generally speaking, there's going to be far more empathy towards that child than if it's a black child, right? For various different reasons. And the way we would see it is, well, that's wrong, well, no, it's not, right? They're the majority and that's their child. We need to have the same sort of energy when it comes to our things, businesses, our culture. We need to actually decide, do we want to create something that is black and African centric, or do we want to be adjacent to Mzungus?
All right, Spellcaster, thank you for the $2 holla. It's true. We'll go ahead and close out. Anybody else have anything to say before we close out? I guess that's a no. Everyone, go ahead. Go
yes,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, I also wanted to say that the young man was talking about, equal opportunity and everybody have a chance and bootstraps. White people don't believe in that. They believe in nepotism. All of that fluffy talk that sounds very honorable, that's for you. They don't practice that. They will put the most unqualified of their own in position. That's what they do. I've seen it myself. Just working in corporate. I remember working with a guy. His job was to work with me on a project, and white guy could not even put together a good paragraph. I was shocked that this grown man could not write a paragraph. And what did corporate do? Because they're white guys. He's a white guy. They took him under their wing. They personally gave him training, completely unqualified for a position like mine. He knew nothing about the field. He knew absolutely nothing. Took him under his wing, trained him, sent him to classes paid by corporates, right? Because he was the only white guy in that particular department. And they groomed him for position that he was not qualified for. I was qualified. The other black woman was qualified. He was not qualified. And they wanted me to train him, and I'm not doing that. Because there's no way I'm giving you my free information so you can elevate him over me. These people don't believe in all of this bootstrap and everybody have an equal check. They don't practice that. And they've never practiced that. That is for you. So I think we need to be very mindful of that. And the same nepotism that they practice, we need to learn. Since we like to pick up the things that they do, we need to learn to pick that up. Because all this other stuff, this, we are the people, we the people, they don't believe in none of that stuff because they don't practice it. They practice what works best for them. And when they feel they need to shift the rules or break the rules, they're going to shift the rules, they're going to break the rules so that they win. They're about winning. And whatever they have to do to win, they are going to do that. So all of this junk they pump in your head about equal opportunity and everyone merit-based, they don't believe in it and they don't practice it. That's all I have to say.
Chrissy, I just want to respond real quick. I actually agree with a lot of what you said the first time initially, when you talked about capitalism and things of that nature, and kind of what you said, from everything that you said, it may be best for us to go back to Africa. I'm not against that at all. I think, ultimately that would be good. I would never fall under socialism. That's just not just from my own personal research that I've done. I don't, granted, they both may be bad, capitalism, socialism. I just would not want to be under a socialist society for myself, just how I think and what I believe. When it comes to equal opportunity, I agree with you there. And that's why, for me, that's why I was saying we have to, even though they may push us down, I don't know. But moving forward, we have to create our own industries. We have to each person has to work on themselves. If we're going to live in America, I don't know where you live, but if we're going to be in America, if we're going to live under this system, we have to pick ourselves up or continue to be at the bottom. And yes, the white man may push us down again. That is 100% possible. But while we're here, until that happens again, we need to try to build our own industry one person at a time, so that if we are going to be here in America, at least we'll give ourselves a fighting chance versus, you know, not doing anything. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not disagreeing with everything that you said, but I'm just saying if we're going to be here and we're going to be under this system, unless we go back to Africa, if we're going to be here, we have to play by their rules and do what we need to do as a people to bring ourselves up. And that means, you know, we may have to start our own industry. We may have to do just like what they do. Oh, we're going to hire a black person for this position with under our business. It's easier said than done, but if we're going to live here, that's just what we have to do unless we move. So that's all I'm saying. So I'm not disagreeing with you. That's just how I think of me being here in America, you know? So I'm not disagreeing with you.
Can I say one more thing, Dinus, before you
Go ahead.
come off?
Go ahead.
In the chat, McKinley Jeter, who's there saying that I'm blah, blah, blah victim. This language we pick up from white people like a little parrot and parakeet the little words that they say. I'm not being a victim. I'm telling you reality. I'm telling you my experience. So you cannot gonna gaslight me with you're playing victim. This is what we allow other this reverse psychology we allow people to do, where you sit down and you shut up and you take it in silence and you let them feel you up in the dark and you don't say nothing because you don't want nobody to say you're a victim. I'm speaking the truth. So if that irks you, then that's too bad. But it's not playing victim. It's speaking truth to power. That's what it's called. That's all I have to say.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dinus Amir, search for Haru. Peace.
Peace.